He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. What a story. Started in October, culminated in the end of December, and via this 3-month journey we've got a #1 single.
Yeah, it was just, well, the whole thing was just amazing. It was like everything happened almost by fate, by chance. It was as if there was another force behind it, you know, because we were telling people you can't really plan something in October for a Christmas #1. Things are always planned 6 to 9 months in advance, but everything just fell into place, and it was as if, you know, something else was guiding it. And you know, I'm not a spiritual or religious person as such, but I did think sometimes there's a greater force behind this, because everything just went right.
What kind of role did Steve Rotherham play in this?
Steve Rotherham, the MP for Warren. He was instrumental in it, really, because it was my initial idea, but I was all for re-releasing the Hollies version. It was Steve was saying, no, if we give the Hollies version, we'll have another Manchester #1, and we want a Liverpool #1, so let's get Liverpool artists to re-record it. And I'll have to hold my hands up and say I wasn't enthusiastic about that as Steve, but I hold my hands up and said he was right. And it was certain things that happened along the way, really. It was the game changer was Guy Chambers, who's famously produced a lot of people, most famously Robbie Williams. He co-wrote Angels with Robbie Williams. He's a songwriter himself. As soon as he got involved, major artists got involved, and so that was really the pivotal point.
And I think we all can remember the tributes put out there by Everton and the Goodison Park faithful.
Yeah.
How did that change everything?
Well, the Everton tribute, soon after the report, the Hillsborough Independent Panels report was published, that was instrumental, because it was Bill Kenwright, the chairman's idea, and his idea was to have 2 kids, and that became 2 kids walking onto the pitch, and that became the iconic image for the single. And so really, Everton were unbelievable about this. They even, on the week of its release, they even projected the single cover to their own expense. Everton did this onto the Kop, and that shows you the solidarity between the 2 clubs with the disaster and the tragedy.
This is really a story of a city united.
It certainly is. You know, I think we all remember, people who are Hillsborough, we all remember the days after Hillsborough and the weeks and the years after Hillsborough, and the vast majority of Evertonians lost people. There's people involved in the campaign who lost brothers who were Evertonians. So it was a city united for one cause, and that was people wanted the truth, because everybody knew in the city that the truth wasn't out there. It took the Independent Panels report to deliver the truth.
When you woke up that morning and noticed that the single was indeed #1,
yeah,
what did you feel?
It was a sense of relief, really. I mean, we didn't, when we went to Radio 1, and we knew in the afternoon that it was possibly going to be #1, because they invited us down to Radio 1. But there was no cheer and no celebrations. In fact, Keith Mullen was in the studio. He's an Evertonian, and one of his mates died at Hillsborough, and he was instrumental in it as well, in the single. He just started crying, and he set me off. You know, we were booked in the studio with tears in our eyes. You know, that's what it meant to us, really. We went to the pub then, and we just had a couple of pints, and just clinked glasses. There was no celebrations. There was no champagne bottles getting open. We just did it in a dignified way, because we wanted to reflect how the families have behaved over the last 23 years. You know, we were aware that, you know, celebrating it being #1 wasn't probably appropriate.
So obviously the #1 spot, that was the culmination of years and years and years of hard work and determination. Obviously it's a story of determination, really.
It's a massive story, and really, as musicians and as artists, we just contributed to that. Other people put the hard yards in. We always talk about people who put the groundwork in, you know, the campaigning over the years, and the actual going to meetings, lobbying MPs, lobbying lawyers, lobbying people with a bit of power. So the single was really just the icing on that, really, you know. And it was, I mean, one of the family's mothers said, you know, it'd be a great Christmas if it got to #1. And I thought, well, you know, we've got to get it to #1, because it'll mean so much to them sitting down. And that was my idea, that you sit down, you have your Christmas dinner, and just before the Queen's speech you've got the Hillsborough-singelen, the culmination of 23 years of fighting for justice and truth.
The road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows when.
It's a long, long